Hello, my brilliant Sussex squadron. Pull up a chair, grab your finest cup of tea and settle in, because today's story isn't just about a few grumpy gardeners or a harmless palace leak. Oh no. Today we're diving deep into a swirling royal stew of hypocrisy, toxic workplaces, family feuds, PR games and, believe it or not, gardening gloves thrown in royal rage. On the surface, this might look like a scattered bunch of royal headlines, but when you stitch them together, what you get is a very clear picture of a crumbling institution that's desperately trying to hold on to an image while the truth keeps leaking out like water from a cracked teapot. Let's start with the Highgrove Gardens, King Charles's beloved pride and joy, a place he's poured his heart and soul into for decades. You'd think a royal estate like Highgrove would be the ultimate dream job for gardeners, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work in a living masterpiece. Beautiful grounds, royal connections, the prestige of working for the king himself. It sounds like a horticulturist's fairy tale, but according to a Sunday Times investigation, the truth is a lot less romantic and a lot more like something out of a bad workplace sitcom, with drama lurking behind every hedge. Since March 2022, 11 out of 12 full-time gardening staff have left. And not because they suddenly decided to become TikTok influencers or chase social media fame. No, they fled because of low pay, low morale, and what's being described as Charles's bullying behavior and obsessive micromanagement, which made daily life unbearable. Imagine working in one of the most beautiful gardens in Britain, only to have your boss publicly scold you for making a factual error about a flower, right in front of your peers. One poor probationary gardener apparently did just that, and Charles's reaction? Don't put that man in front of me again. Harsh words from the king himself. Yes, folks, the King of England managed to turn the peaceful art of horticulture into a high-pressure, anxiety-inducing endurance sport, where even the flowers aren't safe from royal scrutiny. Now, here's where the hypocrisy stings. If this exact story, the mass exodus of staff, the low pay, the accusations of bullying, had been about Meghan Sussex, the British tabloids would have printed it in size 72 font, slapped the word diver on her name, and had 3 royal experts on breakfast television dissecting whether she's a menace to society. But because it's Charles, well, suddenly it's all polite euphemisms about challenging leadership styles and adjustment periods. The double standards are so glaring you practically need sunglasses to read the headlines. Speaking of double standards, let's talk about the never-ending PR machine of Prince William. The man's work ethic, according to many reports, leaves a lot to be desired, but you wouldn't know it from the way Palace PR spins his every move. And in classic royal strategy, his image boost often comes at the expense of Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex. The whispers, or rather the shouts echoing through royal circles, are that once William becomes king, he plans to fully exile Harry and strip his children of their royal titles, severing their official ties to the monarchy. And yet, at the very same time, King Charles is supposedly making funeral plans, where Harry, Meghan Sussex and their children are placed centre stage, as if nothing has changed. Are we really supposed to believe that's an olive branch? A true gesture of reconciliation? Because to me it sounds much more like a performative gesture, especially given that Charles still refuses to provide adequate security for Harry's family when they're in the UK despite ongoing threats. Harry, for his part, has made it clear that reconciliation is not off the table, but it's conditional. There must be apologies. There must be real public acknowledgements of past wrongs. And there will be absolutely no returning to the UK without Meghan Sussex and the children by his side, united as a family. It's not stubbornness. It's common sense and self-protection after years of betrayal, leaks, and targeted smears from those closest to them. And speaking of leaks, remember when Harry and Meghan Sussex told the world that palace insiders were actively feeding stories to the press? Remember when they said that the same institution that claimed it couldn't protect Meghan from racist abuse was more than capable of censoring and planting stories when it suited them? Well, guess what? They were telling the truth. Screenshots of WhatsApp messages have emerged showing Buckingham Palace actively instructing the press to remove certain details. That's not speculation, that's not gossip, that's documented proof, which means the palace could have protected Meghan Sussex. They just didn't want to, because the ugly reality is that the negative press against her was useful to others inside the family. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Harry and Meghan Sussex are not just surviving, they're thriving. They've got multiple income streams, Netflix deals, the Invictus Games, and Meghan's own ventures, like her Rose and Jam, which, by the way, have done incredibly well in blind taste tests. That's positive, unpaid PR, and it's building a business empire that's starting to look like the early stages of billionaire territory. Imagine that, Meghan Sussex becoming a billionaire while the palace continues to brief against her. You almost couldn't write a better plot twist. And yet, the pettiness continues. There was an attempt by certain media voices to link Camilla's birthday to Meghan Sussex, as if the Duchess was somehow responsible for overshadowing it. There were even complaints that Harry's humanitarian trip to Angola a mission directly tied to continuing Princess Diana's legacy and clearing deadly landmines, was apparently stealing attention from Camilla's birthday coverage. The sheer audacity of comparing a life-saving humanitarian effort to a birthday photo op is, well, very on brand for the royal press cycle. In the middle of all this, there's support for Harry coming from unexpected places. Princess Delphine of Belgium publicly called the treatment Harry receives bullying, and she's right. When you step back and look at the years of targeted press campaigns, the deliberate isolation, the weaponized leaks, it's bullying on a grand, coordinated scale. So, where does this leave us? On one side, we have an institution plagued by double standards, infighting, toxic work environments, and a desperate need to control the narrative through leaks and media manipulation. The palace, with all its grandeur, is still haunted by its own internal struggles, and the pressure to maintain a flawless public image at any cost. On the other, we have Harry and Meghan Sussex, who have managed to carve out independent lives, build successful careers, and maintain their dignity despite years of targeted attacks. They've shown resilience, choosing authenticity and personal happiness over tradition and expectation. And here's the thing. Every time the palace thinks they've landed a decisive blow against Meghan Sussex or Harry, reality catches up. The narrative they try to control slips through their fingers, revealing the truth to the world. The truth gets out. The PR crumbles. The carefully constructed facade begins to show cracks no matter how hard they try to patch it up. And the world sees once again that the problem isn't two people in California. It's not about Harry and Meghan choosing a different path. The problem is the centuries-old system in London that still believes image is more important than integrity, clinging to outdated traditions instead of embracing real change. So, Sussex Squadron, as we wrap up today's deep dive, remember this. The flowers at Highgrove may be pruned to perfection, but behind the gates, the rot is spreading. You can replace gardeners. You can spin PR. You can leak stories to the press. But you cannot erase the fact that more and more people are seeing through the facade. And in the long run, truth, much like a determined weed, has a way of breaking through the cracks, no matter how many times you try to pull it out.